We're officially recording. This is episode 51. Mr. Glaze, welcome to the Joe Picture Today podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming on. So Andy and I have not met before. I slid into the DMs and by some miracle, you responded and here we are.
Here I am.
Yes. So before I dive into some very wide spectrum of questions, you just finished a 100-miler on Saturday.
I did.
Saturday? Yep. And then prior to that, you did San Diego. And that was a bit trickier because to me, you still ran 70 miles. So you didn't finish the race, but you did pretty damn good.
Yeah. It was a 200 plus mile week. So.
Jesus Christ, man. So, I mean, we touched a little bit before we started recording, but how are you? You're sleep deprived, your body feels like shit, and yet you're still going out there and running every day. So how is that? What's the pull there?
I mean, mentally, I think I'm in a great spot.
Okay.
Sleep deprived. Yeah. I mean, I've been sleeping a lot since like it sort of happened. First night's always rough, but I actually just got up from a nap, so I'm feeling pretty good right now. It's just, for this race, because there's a lot of mud and a lot of water, my feet are in a rough spot. So right now, like the main issue is just sort of walking on my feet is not super comfortable, but the muscle soreness and all that, I mean, I love that. I think, when you have a sore body, that means you did something hard. So I always look at it as a positive. I always get real sad when the soreness goes away because I had to work really, really hard for that soreness. So when it goes away, it's like, man, I'm going to have to do that again to get to that point again. Whereas most people are like, they're like, they want that soreness to go away. I want it to stay around as long as possible. Like I know tomorrow I'm probably going to be fine. And that's kind of sad.
That's impressive that you're going to recover that quickly after 100 miles because it's Monday right now when we're recording this. You ran, is that 2 days?
Well, I won't be like 100% recovered.
Okay. But holy shit. And you talked about your feet. And I know this is a total offhanded question. Do people ever DM you like asking for feet pictures?
Well, I put them all up for free. So
that's true. But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. My feet are like more famous than me. I think they have like 100 million views. On all platforms, but yeah, you always get weird people asking for weird things like your socks and stuff like that. I try to ignore that aspect.
Seriously? People ask for your socks?
Oh yeah. My socks are nasty too. I throw those things away.
What the fuck? What are they? Oh Jesus! So
it's the internet. Internet's wild.
I know, but I mean, no offense to your feet. They've been through some things. That's a classy shirt, a hat. Okay. But some socks that have been through some things.
Yeah. Well,
all right. To each their own.
Yep.
To each their own. How many? So, and I always think that first things people don't talk about are feet. And I don't know. I used to be embarrassed because I've lost all my toenails several times over. And I love that you authentically own that your feet have been through some shit because it's almost a bit prideful.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm married. I don't have anyone to impress. So if you don't like me because of my feet, then it's not really going to hurt my feelings.
That's fair. So backing up a bit, I mean, so you've just finished this race this 2 days ago, 100-miler, and you have a run streak of over, I believe I have it in my notes. It's 220 weeks.
221.
221. Oh, no. Yes, yeah. Right. Because you finished. Yep. So that's over 4 years of running 100 miles a week.
Yep. It's a lot. Yeah.
Was that your goal when you started running 100 miles a week? Was like, let's see how long this lasts, and has it become a thing? Or was it just something to do for fun? Because you mentioned starting doing this while COVID happened.
Yeah, I mean, I started during COVID when there was no races, so I was just looking for a way to challenge myself. I've done 100-mile run streaks before. I did one in like 2019. I did 28 weeks, and it was pretty fun. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think I'd be 4 years is, quite a long time. I mean, I thought 28 weeks was a long time when I did it previous, and everyone thought that was crazy. So now that I'm 4 years in, it's like, it's really crazy. And so many things have happened in 4 years, and so many, like some weeks are very mundane and like, no big deal. But um, yeah, if anything goes wrong, it makes it really challenging. So, and life always goes wrong. So there's always something that I have to overcome to make it happen.
Mm.
But it's I like to run, so it makes it easy. But and if it comes to an end, it comes to an end. I've done a lot of crazy endurance things in my life, and I'll just keep doing
Yeah,
weird, crazy shit. So
I like
um,
it.
yeah, it's become a thing, but it's also it's not like who I am. It's just a fun thing that I do. I
Yeah,
also do a lot of races and stuff like that. And that's a thing I do too. So
yeah, I gotcha. I always just was just curious 'cause you have people that have, haven't never not ran for 5 years, 6 years, and it's become like an active streak that they're aiming for.
right.
But you seem to have more of a holistic approach of like, yeah, it's something I'm doing. If it stops, it stops. There's gonna be
It's
more
also
weird
like
shit
I
on it
kind of
too.
made it all up myself. Like
Mm,
there's these websites and stuff that are all like dedicated to run streakers who like run like a mile a day. Um, and they're really obsessed with it, obviously, which is cool. But
yeah,
like I just made up the rules and they're my own rules and nobody else is doing what I'm doing. So I mean I'm sure there's a couple people now doing it, but like prior to me run streaking 100 miles, like it was just something that I did for myself. Like with my job and things like that, it's harder for me to say I'm going to run every day. I might not be able to run in a day.
mm,
So I can't create a streak where someday I could go to work and then, end my streak because I go to work for days and days at a time. So it's a little bit different than like the average person that works a 9 to 5 or whatnot.
yeah. Because talking about that, the balance. What's also impressive is I think runners know, and maybe other runners don't, but the amount of time to spend running in order to achieve the goal of running 100 miles a week is a testament to itself. So as like you have a job, you have a family, how do you balance all of that?
I mean, it's not super easy, but a lot of it just involves running when the family is doing other things like sleeping. I mean,
Oh,
I have like teenagers; they like to sleep in. My wife likes to sleep in. Um, then they go to school, so
hmm,
yeah, like I can run when they're not around, and then when they're like going to bed, then I can run again. So it's it's just working around everybody else's schedule to find the
yeah.
time to get it done. Um, at work, it's like there's specific times I'm allowed to exercise. And
Okay.
when I have those times, assuming nobody calls 911, which they always do, but if they don't, then I have
Hmm.
the opportunity to run as well. So
Yeah. Because I just wanted to say congratulations. I saw you got promoted.
I did, yeah.
That's so awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh gosh. So the balance, I think also it comes down to priority. You make time for what's, the most important. And I think it's a beautiful balance of having a lot of high priority things and figuring out a way to make it kind of all orchestrate together. So,
Yeah, if you're going to do something like this, then the traditional American having fun is not really going to be your priority. So it's like, I
mhm.
don't watch TV. I really only do social media what's like my own social media. I don't absorb a lot of other social media. I don't drink. I don't go out parties. All the things that most people do to relax or chill or do what they do to wind down. Like I don't do any of that. So it's just one of those things where for me that's what I want to do and that's what's fun for me. But like probably not fun for everybody else. Because you have to sacrifice a lot of the traditional American fun um, if you want to like accomplish something like this.
Yeah. And I think the connection between many runners, professional athletes, regular athletes, anyone who's disciplined enough to schedule time to work out, to move your body, to really push yourself, understands that kind of level of discipline, but I feel with the 100 miles a week as your push, I mean, or your pull, if you don't mind me asking, like, is it more of I need to get out and run so that I can mentally feel better? I like to start my day fresh. Like, is it more of just I have 100 miles, this is how I reset? Like, is your reason for running is just purely because you enjoy it, or is it because there's another underlying reason?
I mean, I do really enjoy it, but first of all, when I run, like, I don't really think about the streak a whole lot till like the sort of the end of the week. I start to look and see how
Okay.
many miles I have, just because I know I'm going to run twice a day every day. So,
Mm.
when you do that, it like just adds up. And I normally don't get myself into a situation unless I'm at work for like multiple days and like we're really busy where like I'm in a bad spot. But um, no, I mean, for me, a lot of running is it's fun, and then a lot of it's that I'm a firefighter. My job is extremely stressful, and I have like significant PTSD from the job. And I use exercise and running and other aspects of my recovery process as like a way to deal with the PTSD. So um, I would not feel good if I missed running for a day. My
Yeah.
wife is always like a little anxious about when I get injured enough to a point where I can't run. Like, what am I going to do? But we'll figure it out,
Yeah.
you know. So
That's impressive. I think, and I'm sure you probably get asked this, probably one of your top 5 questions you get asked is when you're increasing this amount of mileage, 250-mile races, 100-mile weeks, what does your like recovery look like? Because holy shit, you're putting a lot of like poundage on your body. So
yeah,
how are you like coming back from that?
I mean, it's a complicated question because
Yeah.
it depends on a lot of factors. Like, one, I never recover. I'm always really sore and messed up. So
Fair.
if you want to do what I do, then and you want to feel fresh and like great, that's like never going to happen. So you just have to embrace the fact that I never recover. Um, I mean, I'll feel less sore and I'll feel like better at times, but I'm always a little bit broke off. Um, I mean, I use running to recover from running. So it's like, I ran 100 miles and I was like super broke off, like hobbled in, like,
Mhm.
but after a certain number of hours, like less than a day, um, I felt good enough to run again. So I went out and ran like 5 miles, and, that gets all the blood flowing and gets, what's the saying? Motion is lotion. That's like, that's like one of my big philosophies is that you got to move.
Jesus.
You got to continue to put, pressure on the tendons and loads and all that sort of stuff. So definitely, I'm not a believer. First of all, I'm not a coach. I'm not a doctor. Don't listen to my advice, but I'll just tell you what I do, and
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in active recovery. So one is like keep moving. I'm not somebody that like, oh, there's that one rule. It's like take a day off for every mile you race. I'm like, oh, so you want me to take 100 days off? Probably not. I won't even take 100 hours off. So,
When you put it that way,
yeah, I
shit.
mean, I think it's more for like marathons or something, and then people take a whole month off, which to me is like disastrous. If you don't move, you're gonna like that's when you get all stiff, and that's when you
Hmm.
hobble around the house feeling all sorry for yourself. So there's
Hmm.
there's movement. That's a big one. I do like I drink a lot of fluids, a lot of water, a lot of a lot of liquids to keep hydrated and whatnot. High calorie diet. Um, I think if you're going to be doing hard things like really high mileage, you have to make sure your body has enough fuel. I think a lot of people that get injuries, especially bone related injuries like stress fractures and stuff, it might be because they're not eating enough. As I mean, obviously it's an overuse injury as well, but like, when you're not giving your body enough food, um, things break down. So I eat like 5,000 calories a day. Um,
Holy shit.
yeah, it's very expensive. And then I take like a bunch of supplements, which may or may not work, but you know, they either do or they don't.
Can't hurt.
Um, I ice bath, I sauna, I do red light therapy. Um,
So I've seen a lot of red light therapy. Dumb question, but what is that compared to like a sauna and a cold plunge? Is red light more blood circulation? Like, what is the reason for red light?
I mean, yeah, probably more blood circulation to the area, but also like has something to do with the like mitochondria in the cells,
Oh shit.
absorbing um, the red light and then creating more ADP. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of research, which I at one point read and was like really into. Now I don't know if I feel like great articulating it all, but I have had good experiences with, especially like my feet. And then I just had that like hamstring, like pull. I pulled my hamstring last week and just like heavy use of the red light on that just to make sure that, you know, I mean, it's better. And my thought process is like, it's not hurting me. So it's either helping a little bit or it's not helping at all. But if it's not helping at all, then, doing nothing would be the same thing. So,
Mhm.
but I've had some foot issues, some Achilles issues, things like that at times. And like, I found that the red light makes it heal quicker. Um, just based on having foot and Achilles issues in the past and not using red light.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's hard when everything you do is based on recovery. It's hard to
Hmm.
say this is the thing that's doing
This
it,
is the formula.
or is it like all of it combined? I don't know. And maybe none of it works. Maybe it's just time. I really don't know. But
Yeah.
I do a lot of I do a lot of things where I'm trying to recover. I don't just like sit around and go, okay, well, I just did this big effort. Like, hope I feel better. Like,
Yeah.
no, everything is focused on it.
Yeah, because there's just so much nowadays that sometimes as someone who's trying to understand, like I'm relatively new to the running community. I think I started running during COVID when all my gyms shut down. So as someone who's also trying to increase mileage, there's so like there's IV drips, there's compression, but like there's so much shit out there about like how
Yeah.
to, recover quicker. It's kind of daunting to navigate, but
Well, and I think a lot of it's just like if you're young, you recover quicker. When you get
that
older,
that too.
it's like
That's
it gets harder as you get older to. I definitely notice it because I'm getting older, and it's like everything's getting harder, and I'm like, man, it didn't used to be like this. So like my protocols are getting like more and more extensive every year I get older, whereas before I could just like sort of fake it.
I got you. I mean, I'm 28, and so I'm getting older, but we all age,
No,
but I wouldn't say
you're still
old.
quite young. I'm
So
46, so when you're getting close to 50, it's a whole different ball game.
yeah, I see
I
that.
assure you, especially when you hurt yourself.
So the one of the things you mentioned was really impressive was the 5,000 calories a day. So you're a vegan athlete, which I thought was super cool because I'm also a vegan athlete and I get so much shit for how you're getting enough protein, how you're getting enough calories, how you're getting all this and this and this, how you're not even eating meat or eggs. So what did your diet like? What was the switch for you? Because obviously endurance athletes, they need calories, and animal products have a lot of high calorie content.
I mean, so I became a vegetarian over 20 years ago, and I was a vegetarian for, I don't know, like 16 years. And then I got a dairy allergy, so I became vegan. I've been a vegan for like, I think 5 years. Um, I was, at the time, I was doing a lot of triathlons.
Mm.
And yeah, I did it as kind of like a joke to see if I could do it for a month. And then as I was doing it, like, I never felt like better and stronger. So I was like, oh, well, if this diet makes me feel better, then I'm just going to stick with it. And then I did. And, so, I mean, that's basically the switch. But before that, prior to that, I ate a lot of meat, like a lot of
Yeah.
meat. I was not a whole lot of vegetables, a lot of meat. So I've definitely lived in both worlds. I think it's like, just a very personal decision and you just have to like whatever works for you. Like all my friends eat meat. My kids eat meat. My wife and I are both vegan, but it just, I mean, it works for us. Like, and as far as calories go, like, I mean, I eat a lot of carbs because, you know, I do endurance sports, and, you know, for me, carbs are fuel, and like, they tend to work well for my body. You know, I know that some people have a different philosophy on that, but all I can do is speak to like my body, which likes carbs. You know, my brain likes carbs, likes glucose. So, I feed it a lot of that. And, I'm not a bodybuilder, so I don't care about protein. I think that the only time in life you really need to be super concerned with protein is if you're like trying to body build and like actively grow large amounts of muscle. Because I mean, for me, it's just I'm basically just maintaining my muscle, you know,
Yeah.
which I guess gets harder as you get older. But you know, when you're eating 5,000 calories a day, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just basically like if you ate one meal, I eat like 2.5 meals. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
when I sit down at a restaurant or something like that, I order 2 full entrees, and then I'll eat half my wife's entree, and then I'll eat, you know, like I eat a lot. Like I don't ever eat just one, you know, if like I
Yeah.
go get it like an acai bowl, I get the
Oh,
large, and then I get
yep.
2 of them, and I eat both of them.
Jesus Christ.
Like that's every meal is like that. Like, um, I basically double what everybody normally eats. Um,
I mean, yeah, if you're running
yeah,
100 miles a week, you kind of have to.
yeah, and it's, you know, I'm not one of those people that has a hard time eating. Like some people tell me, like I just can't eat that much. Like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like I'm always hungry, and I never have an issue with eating. Like I love to eat, and I love to put food in my body. So
Yeah. I think it's not a pendulum, but it's kind of like if you don't work out, you're not hungry. If you're not hungry, you don't, it's kind of for people that
sure,
are moving your body as much as you are, that makes total
yeah,
sense. Like you're burning fuel, you need fuel.
right, yeah,
But
yeah, and I found like this like equilibrium of how much I need to eat.
mhm.
I had like a PhD student do like a whole study on me for a couple months where I logged like everything I ate. And that's how I know I eat about 5,000 calories a day. So, and it was like pretty balanced. Like every day I was normally within like 100 calories of like how much I burned versus how much I ate. So like some days I ate like an extra 100 calories, and some days I ate like, you know, under 100 calories, but for whatever
Mhm.
reason my body equalized pretty well.
Yeah.
And I've been doing about the same thing, so I just assume it's, you
Yeah.
know, that's
It's
probably
working.
where I'm at. So
Yeah. So when you're on the trail, I mean, you use like the little gel, the goos, all of that. Are
yeah,
you, when you get to like 100 miles, I feel like there has to be some sort of transition where you're like, oh yeah, I'll have 100-calorie goo versus like, no, I have like a mashed potatoes in a bag that I'm eating. Like, what are you eating on like the longer trails, also being vegan?
yeah, it's hard. I mean, in California and Arizona, like the races tend to have a lot of vegan options, but like I
Oh,
just got
that's
back from
nice.
Wyoming, and it was like it was pretty sparse. So I would prefer like in the 100-mile races to be eating more significant food. Like it just, I mean, it really depends on the race. Like I'll eat full, like in like 200-mile races, like I'll eat full meals. Like they'll have like meals at the aid stations.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, it just really depends. Like this one in Wyoming, I ate mostly like peanuts and apricot, like dried apricot, because that's what they had, which was not very fulfilling. At one point, I was like, "What kind of hot vegan options do you have?" And they're like, "We have green tea." And I'm like, "What kind of hot vegan options do you have with calories?" They're like, "Nothing." I'm like, "Sweet. I'll just keep eating these apricot ears." But you know, I bring all my own food, but yeah, you do
Yeah.
get sick of just eating that sweet, like, you know, goo shit all the
Yeah.
time. Sometimes you
Yeah.
just want something like savory or salty.
Hmm.
A lot of aid stations have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I can do that. Um,
Okay.
in Europe, they have like they'll do like baguettes,
French
and
fry.
I'll just like
Yes.
take a whole baguette and like shove it in my vest and just eat it as I'm running. Very
So
French.
classy. Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, there's always just Coke. You can always just drink straight Coke, which is just, you know, calories and or carbs and caffeine, which is a good combination.
How
But
does that feel in the stomach though? Like, I
I
feel
mean,
like you have
I
to probably
love.
gut train.
No, I mean, it's like, well, I can eat any. I could like literally eat like a vegan burger, a whole vegan burger, and then just keep running. My stomach like can absorb. I've
Jesus.
taught my body to eat solid food, but I like bubbles in my water when I run because burping is like a really like positive thing. Like, so yeah.
It's a positive, like you want to burp while you're
Yeah,
running
when
long
you're because
distance?
you don't want to like get your stomach upset. You want to like be able to like
Oh,
release the gas. And so if you take in bubbles, then it like forces you to burp, so you don't get
that's
like
such
all
good. I would never have thought that.
bloated.
Damn. All right,
And
that's good to
also
know.
like if you drink a bunch of water with gas in it, then um, you don't. It makes you feel fuller faster, so you don't take in too much of anything, and then because you don't want to like get too full or like with water, or sometimes you're like so thirsty and you just drink and drink and drink, and then you start running, you feel that sloshing in your stomach. Well, if you drink sparkling water, then it's like you drink until you're full because you fill up with gas and then you can't continue on. So you burp and then you're like back to normal, even though you took in a bunch of water.
Uh-huh.
These are like
Interesting.
ultra problems that
I
most
mean,
people, don't have to deal with because I'm going like this last race took me 32 hours. So 32 hours of movement with no sleep, you have to come up with some tricks.
yeah. So you don't have to answer this question, but I do have a question about going to the bathroom in the woods. What's the
Okay.
mindset? So on a long distance, you're gonna probably have to shit in the woods. So what are your like for someone who's completely scared to do that? What is that? You just have to not give a shit and just go for it?
I mean, there's two things. Like, it really depends on how long you're going. Um, One trick that I use for like, and it works for most like up to 100-mile races is I eat my last meal 12 hours before the race starts because food takes about 12 hours to digest. So say your race starts at 6 a.m., you eat your last meal before 6 p.m., then you have 12 hours to digest and hopefully you get everything out before the race. You wake up, drink a little caffeine, get the bowels going, you get it all out, and then you're running and you're eating, but you're burning more calories than you're consuming, so you're not really creating shit, right?
Okay.
So the theory is that if that happens, then you won't have to shit until after the race, um, because like everything you put in your body is basically using as fuel, right? And you've already
Yep.
gotten all your shit out from the previous day because it's been 12 hours before the race starts.
Yeah.
Um, but if you go too long, like, like I went 32 hours, then you're going to probably create enough calories to shit. I always carry wet wipes for, emergencies. And yeah, I just go in the woods and shit. Like it feels so
Yeah.
fucking good. So you'll be like, if you have to shit and you go shit, you're going to feel like a whole new person when you're done.
I bet.
It's going to be a religious experience. So, and you just
Okay.
have to have the wet wipes to make sure wet wipes. And then you need to have like fresh lube. So you wet
Oh,
wipe and then you have to, lube up right afterwards to make sure you don't chafe.
Jesus Christ. And so I'm just is the mentality of the ultra running world just kind of like, oh yes, that person's shitting, welcome to the club? Like
Well,
is
you're
it kind
probably
of
just
like
you're out in the middle of nowhere with nobody.
that's
Most
true?
of the
Is
time
your
you're running an ultra, it's not like there's somebody next to you. And if there is, then you just go, I'm going to go take a shit. And they're like, all right, I'll see you in a bit. And they just keep
have
running
fun?
and you go shit, I mean,
All right.
it gets pretty, everybody talks about everything out there. It's not,
That's true.
you know, I mean, we're all
That's true.
humans and human shit, it's
Yeah.
not, it's not like a big thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to look it up, but I think in the last 2 minutes, you may have broken the record for how many times someone has said shit on a podcast.
Yeah.
I have to look that up. That was awesome.
I,
Just
I
let
have,
that go.
I have a potty mouth. Okay. So
No, it's that my podcast is called Do Epic Shit Today.
yeah.
You're preaching to the
All right.
choir.
Good,
You're all
good,
good.
good.
So with that being said, one of the phrases that I see that you tag in a lot of your posts is smile or you're doing it wrong. So how did that come to be?
So I mean, the origin story is that there's a trail, where I run, and it has a Strava segment, and it's called "You're either smiling or you're crying," And every time I run it, I was like, well, man, you better be smiling on this because it's just so beautiful and amazing. And so long ago, I would write, smile, you're doing it wrong, because, that I thought of that situation. And, this is probably back when I had like, 200 followers. So it's just sort of grown. But, I think it's just the mindset that a lot of times people look at things in a negative light, and I think the key to life is sort of just like the mental switch of like trying to find the positive in everything. Like if you're in the middle of an ultra and it's really, really bad and you feel like you can't go on and you're so sore and so much pain, you're like, okay, well, yeah, but this is what I signed up for, and this is what I trained for, and this is what I want, like, and this is the only way I can get it. And you have to kind of like, be happy about that, or it's like the fact that you're like able to do it. Most people can't do that sort of stuff, or that like you're even alive, because so many people, tragically die of things. So it's just that always that positive mental trick in your brain to just remind yourself that this is a good thing. So
Yeah, I like that.
you need a lot
So,
of mental tricks when you're running long distances, but I think you also need a
yeah,
lot of mental tricks just in life in general, because life is so hard and brutal and unfair.
yeah. That was gonna be my next question too, is the long runs. It's kind of just you, yourself, and you, or I don't know how the phrase goes. I know it's me, myself, and I, but I don't know what it is
Right.
op-
Yeah.
opposite. But what is like, are you keeping yourself company with like trying to remember movies, or what are you doing on 100 miles? Because that's a long fucking time to be with just you.
Uh, I mean, it's a combination of a lot of things, because it's a journey, right? It's like,
Yeah.
so the journey always starts like kind of in the beginning. You're with a lot of people because you start the race with people, and so you're like, oh, it seems like a lot of times you're chatting with people, getting to
Mm-hmm.
know a couple people, and then as you start like going through aid stations and whatnot, you start kind of like breaking up and like finding your own pace and your own route. Um, those are the times when you start to kind of like feel the pain, because like the body's like, oh, we're like 30 miles in and this kind of doesn't feel so good. And so you start having to kind of work through all the, oh, your ankles hurt, or your back hurts, or your shoulders hurt, or this or that. And you kind of work through that. And I think mentally you're kind of focused on that, because pain is it's hard to avoid it mentally. And then you kind of get into this phase where you're just like kind of focused on the beauty of everything around you and what you're experiencing, and you're kind of living in the moment, but you're also uh, just trying to stay alive. So you have to focus a lot on the like hydration, nutrition aspects of the race, and then also all the other little things like lubrication and sunscreen and things like that, and shitting and pissing, and you gotta like keep track of it all, right? Like if you're not pissing enough, then it's like you can have all
Uh
sorts of medical problems. So
oh.
um,
Okay.
it's a balance of like sort of just like staying alive, and staying healthy,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually the brain just shuts off, and you're just kind of in like a weird sort of I don't know, like reptilian mode, where you're just like moving forward and trying to finish, but you're not really thinking about a whole lot, which is a
Yeah.
really, really nice place to be in when you have an active mind.
Mm-hmm. So I know, like with marathon running, that people are like, "Oh, at mile 20, be ready for the wall. Like, be ready." That's when shit tends to go down. When it's 100 miles, 250. Obviously, you're not feeling the pain. I hope you're not feeling the pain at mile 20, because God bless you. But what is it usually for like 100? Is I know I've heard of dirty 30s, but is it
Mm.
like mile 75 where it's like, hang on to your panties, it's about to be painful?
I think it's just a roller coaster of ups and
Oh,
downs. It might
that's
happen at
fair.
20 and then 60 or 40. I mean, there's going to be a lot of times in the race where you feel really, really bad. And there's going to be a couple times in the race where you feel really good. And you just sort of, when you're feeling really bad, you just remind yourself like, well, eventually this is going to end, and I'm going to
It's
either
gonna pass.
finish the race or I'm going to start feeling good again. And yeah, you don't really know what's going to happen. So it's kind of like and that makes it part of the adventure. But I think
Yeah.
everyone's different. Everyone has like different lows, and the more you race, the more you know your own body. And um, I tend to have lows in like the 50s until
Okay.
I hit like the 60s, and then I start feeling good again because I'm like, oh, I'm past the halfway point.
Yeah.
Um, but it really all depends on lots of things, like how much have I climbed? Like this last
Mm.
race, I climbed like 18,000 feet, and I was like up to like um, 9,500 feet, so a lot of elevation. So when you're up at 9,500 feet, you don't feel super good, but you have to remind
Yeah.
yourself like you don't feel super good because you're at like basically 10,000 feet. So
Yeah.
as you run downhill and you run out of the mountain into the canyon, you start to feel better because the elevation isn't playing such a factor. So there's a lot of things that play into the saying is like, if you feel good, slow down. If you feel like shit, eat. So
Mm.
sometimes if you feel bad, you just need to like eat, and sometimes you just need to like stop for a hot second and just consume a bunch of calories, and you'd be amazed on how that'll like change your world.
Mm. That's good advice. I'm mentally, well, I have this recorded, but I'm also going to be writing some of this down. So, out of all the races, do you have a count of how many? Do you have a count of how many races you've done thus far, and do you have a favorite?
I don't. I mean, there's a count on Ultra Sign Up that,
Oh, okay.
I mean, you could probably see most of my races. It doesn't have all of them, but
Yeah.
I've done a fair amount. I'm not entirely sure how many.
Just a shit
Um,
ton.
yeah, I mean, probably like somewhere around 40 hundreds, something like that, and then like a bunch of little ones too. Um, yeah, I think my number is probably like around 70 something ultras.
Okay.
Um, my favorite is UTMB in Europe. It's a real epic, super hard race, and that circumvents Mont Blanc in
Mm-hmm.
France. So you run from France into Italy into Switzerland back into France. It's a big circle. It's on a real famous hiking trail. So like a lot of people hike it. And if you can't do ultra running, I would highly recommend you go hike it, because you can basically hike it hut to hut and just do like a couple miles each day and make a week of it. And it's just freaking beautiful. So you're just going through all these little idyllic European villages nestled in the mountains, and you have glacier Alps all around you.
Yeah.
And you can do like 6, 7, 8 miles a day and just
Mm-hmm.
make your way around it. Um, so
Yeah, because
definitely,
don't they have a 50K, 100K, and 100 distance?
they have a bunch.
But
I don't know all the distances. They have a bunch of
oh, okay.
different weird distances, and they all go like different directions and ways and whatnot. But the
Okay.
100 miler, or actually it's 106 miles, is the one that goes all the way around. So
Okay. Will you do that this year?
I will, yeah, for the fifth time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Holy shit. Does it ever get old?
no, because every
Okay,
year it's
no.
like the weather's different. There's just a lot of
Yeah.
factors that play into it. I'm hoping this will be my last year, because it's really hard, and it's quite a time commitment to fly all the way out to Europe to run it. But
Yeah.
I feel like 5 years is enough, and it's really hard. My wife crews me, and she doesn't want to crew me anymore, so this will probably be the last time.
But I'm assuming that's the baguette situation.
Yeah,
Love it.
exactly.
That's
Hmm.
awesome. Okay, so I have one more question, then we'll go into a segment that I call rapid fire questions. So I talked about this earlier before hit record. What's with the jorts, and do you think you'll ever start your own jort line?
Um, I don't know. I think they're funny, and like years ago, I decided that that's what I was going to race in, and so that's what I race in, and
Uh huh.
now it's like a thing. A lot of times you start things and you don't know that they're going to become a thing, and then they do, and so that's, I guess, what I'm known for. But no, I don't think I'll ever start a jort brand or whatever. But um, there's a company called Satisfy that just made jorts, and like they made them like special for me and sent them to me, and then they sold them to the public, and they like all sold out. So I don't know if that's because of me or just
I think
because
so, man.
or jorts are high fashion. So yeah, I mean, I just think they're hilarious. I like hilarious shorts. I have probably like 75 pairs of hilarious running shorts, and like, well, I run twice a day, so
That's true.
you know,
That's true. But Jesus.
yeah, I think that you should have a little flair while you're out there.
Yeah.
Just black shorts are like boring. So I like funny things.
Damn. What's your, because I've seen the rubber duckies and of course the jean shorts, also known as jorts. Do you
Yeah.
have like your go-to, like, oh yeah, do you have like a favorite right now?
No, I mean, I have like, so like today I ran in like ones that look like Patrick shorts from SpongeBob. And then I have like cats with lasers coming out of their eyes. And I have like, ones that look like, I don't know, like space, and ones with like little mountain goats all over it. I mean, I literally have so many that at this point I just pick a random pair and put it on.
Yeah.
And, it makes it fun.
I got you. Okay. All right. So now I'll jump into the segment called rapid fire questions.
All right.
All right. Have you gotten a pedicure before?
One time in my life, yeah.
Okay, this is not rapid fire, but how'd it go?
It wasn't good. They were like,
It wasn't.
this was a long time ago, and my feet were messed up then. And the whole time they were like making fun of me in whatever language they speak. So as they scraped like whatever, my cuticles and all that sort of stuff. So.
All right. Jesus.
Yeah, I think about it. Everyone wants me to go because it'd be like my nails are so like they're all black right now and just disgusting. It'd probably be really funny content, but I think it might be a little painful. So I don't know. I'm a little nervous about it.
I mean, if you do like a good soak, I mean, you probably know this, like good soak. And also it has to be, I wouldn't even call it a pedicure. I would just call it maintenance or just foot care, because you're not necessarily concerned about your nails. You're not painting them. You're just giving your foot a little facelift.
Yeah, I don't know. My feet are pretty messed up.
Yeah, it's all right though. Looks badass. Okay, next question. Running alone or running with someone?
I'm probably like 80% alone, 20% with somebody.
Yeah, same. Okay, running with music or no music?
I like to run with music when I race, and I like to like run with podcasts and books when I train.
That's good to know. Okay, running before work or after work? This is both, but do you have a preference?
Yeah. I like to. I mean, my favorite runs are in the morning. I like to start my day with a run. So.
Yeah, gotcha. And then, what are 3 things that you're grateful for?
I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for my family, and I'm grateful that I can run.
Aw, those are awesome. And that was the last question.
All right, perfect.